What's happening? Brian Tong here, and welcome to the Apple Bite for everything good and bad inside the world of Apple. And boy, do we have a lot of iPhone goodies to jump into. Now, you all know it started over the weekend when Apple accidentally pushed their firmware for their HomePod speaker ahead of its launch in December. And sure, it revealed new things about the HomePod, which we'll get to, but the firmware that Apple released was for iOS 11.02, two full patches ahead of what's been released to the public. It was a treasure trove of iPhone 8 details straight from the source that Guilherme Rambo and Stephen Troughton-Smith dug deep into. Now, the biggest leak, you've seen it everywhere, the apparent confirmation of what the next iPhone will look like that aligns exactly with the rumors and renders we've seen, with the minimal bezel design and the top area sticking out around the camera and sensors. The icon also confirms the lack of a physical home button on the front, the first time ever for an iPhone. And thanks HomePod firmware, and guess what? The hits keep coming. The firmware includes multiple references to infrared face detection within the biometric kit framework. That's where Touch ID information is usually stored, and it confirms the next phone will at least partially rely on facial recognition. The biometric kit also references face detect and different conditions like being too close or too far away from the camera. Infrared sensors on the front of the iPhone will also be used to capture images for authentication instead of using visible light through a traditional camera. Wow, that's a lot of info. But wait, there's more. Troughton-Smith kept on digging into the HomePod firmware and says there is nothing to suggest any type of under-display Touch ID functionality on the iPhone 8, squashing the idea for all you dreamers that it will come this year. That discovery supports what rumor mills have been saying about the iPhone moving towards a facial recognition system. And if you don't like the idea of that blocked out area on the top of the phone, Troughton-Smith and developer Jeffrey Grossman have found new references to a new split visual option for the status bar, which means utilities like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, your cell signal, and battery could be displayed on either side of the camera area, giving us the smooth, streamlined status bar at the top of the phone that we all want. Now, Troughton-Smith also says the status bar seems a lot more complex and powerful in design and could even have some interactive features. You want more? Oh yeah, you'll get more. Without a home button, the iPhone could also support a tap to wake feature, a feature found in Windows Lumia phones where you double tap on the screen to wake them. Troughton-Smith also found the home button looks like it's being referenced as the home indicator with the virtual area that may be for hidden full screen apps and videos. Plus, there's evidence in the OS that the iPhone will bring an even higher resolution screen at 1125 by 2436 for a functional section of the screen that measures at 5.15 inches, giving it a 521 pixel per inch density. Now, the other portion would be for the virtual home area we just talked about and would make up the remainder of the rumored 5.8 inch screen in total. Woo! That's a lot of meat and potatoes, everybody. And remember, years ago, it was Tim Cook who said Apple would be doubling down on secrecy on products, but the reality is that it was Apple, and no one else that's revealed the most concrete details about the iPhone 8 to date. See, the Cupertino kids can't be happy about that, and you know what that gets? That's a bad apple.
Oh, hell no!
But it's kind of good for me because we just had a whole lot of show to give to Apple Bite Nation. All right, the iPhone wasn't the only thing we learned about. Remember the HomePod? Yes, the firmware also revealed new details about the HomePod. We mentioned it will run iOS, hence the iPhone leaks, but according to the firmware posted online, it won't support third-party apps or extensions, which means we probably shouldn't expect it to support any other music services other than Apple Music on launch. But come on, they've got to realize that's just stupid, so hopefully that changes. Now, the firmware also revealed that top center surface area of the HomePod isn't just a big LED, but appears to be an LED matrix, and if that's the case, it could show off basic things like temperature, time, or weather icons. Things you'll only see if you're standing, directly above it and staring down on it. Now, developer Avery Magnotti discovered some of the new HomePod UI sounds and posted them for everyone to hear, like this one for an alarm. Oh, that was pleasant. Or this one for a timer. Hey Ma, the ribs are ready! And this dope one called WOC Audio Passcode Tone. Oh, do it again, man. Here, play that again. Oh, yeah, I'm digging that. All right, clearly I need to go outside a little more. Now, the HomePod is scheduled for a release sometime in December for $349. Okay, Apple is up after they announced their earnings results for the third fiscal quarter of 2017, which is the second quarter of the calendar year. Apple posted revenue of $45.4 billion and a net quarterly profit of $8.7 billion. Now, Apple iPhone sales were up 41 million units compared to last year's quarter. Mac sales were up with 4.29 million sold, and the curse of the iPad has ended after 13 straight quarters of declining sales. Now, iPads jumped up 15% to 11.42 million units sold, and you can thank my best friend, the iPad Pro, and the low-cost iPad for that. Also, Apple Watch sales jumped up 50% and is the #1 selling smartwatch in the world, but they still won't report units sold. Come on, Apple, just man up, show us the numbers unless, you're having performance issues. Apple Services business, which includes the App Store, Apple Pay, Apple Music, and iCloud storage, and more, hit an all-time high of $7.3 billion in revenue, making it the size of a Fortune 100 company. And if you want to know how much cash Apple is sitting on right now, they told us $261.5 billion of cash. That's a whole lot of lettuce. Now, there's also some fun tidbits from the earnings call. Tim Cook said Apple has increased production capacity for the AirPods, who are still on a 6-week wait time, but they still aren't able to meet the strong level of demand. I think a blockbuster music video might have had something to do with that.
Why'd you take the headphone jack out? There's so many things I can't do.
Oh, I love that ditty. Now, Cook also addressed Apple is working on its own autonomous system for cars. He said, "We do have a large project going and we're making a big investment in this. Autonomous systems can be used in a variety of ways. A vehicle is only one, but there are many other different areas of it, and I don't want to go any further with that." Okay, Tim, just, sprinkling a little few crumbs for us to pick up there, like South Bay. All right, he also continued to push for ARKit, calling augmented reality big and profound for Apple, and the early demos kept getting better with everything from this mind-blowing take on a-ha's 80s music video, Take On Me, using ARKit, and then we saw this demo of a virtual robot commando in the streets. Pretty cool stuff. All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. You can email us at theapplebite@cnet.com or tweet me at Brian Tong. We didn't even get to talk about the Fast and Furious style iPhone heist from a moving truck, so you'll just have to listen to our Apple Bite Extra Crunchy podcast for that. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you all next time for another Bite of the Apple.